I'm just going to use a square on there to make sure that the table is sort of... I'm just going to use a square on here to make sure that the dividing head is nice and square at the table. It doesn't make any difference for this particular job, but we might as well have it all nice and true. Clamp bolt there. And there's one on here. I've decided to do it vertical like that. It's going to be a lot easier for me than trying to mount it horizontally. That clamp bolt on there will be more than sufficient for what we're doing. Suitable piece of material to go in there. Always keep little bits of steel to use as packers and never come in wrong, and have them try and have your clamp bars, which is that bit there, lying level if possible. Right, so that's nice and secure. There is a centre hole in the middle of here. I'll put a centre in and I'll line it up to make sure that the centre of the chuck or the centre of the table is in true line with the centre of the milling machine. Right, so that's all lined up and I've locked off the y-axis. Next thing is to put the job on, put a clock gauge on it, get it running nice and concentric, nice and true. I'll use a cutter on the side to mark that. I may actually clamp it that way because I want to mark on here, not there. But what I'll do, I'll put some thin aluminium or copper around there just to protect that. A little bit of brass shim will be ideal just to protect the machine face on the pulley. Simply wraps around there like that and drops in, and it means that the chuck jaws will tighten up on the brass shim and they won't damage the machine face. So I'm not going to put it that tight, I've only got to put little engraving marks in it so it's not all we're going to do at first is screw the jaws in till they look kind of even, just to get it somewhere near, and then we can put a clock gauge on it and get it right. Right. Simply use a big taper on here. Had a big taper chuck and put it in there, that would line it up. And so the first thing I'll do is put something into the chuck and just clock it onto this face here, just to get it somewhere near before we do go putting a clock gauge onto it. I've got the axis locked that way so we can move it that way, no problem at all. Right, across to here, bring that down, and we can simply turn that and we can eyeball it. It wants to go across that way a bit, quite a lot. I'm normally pretty good at estimating things like this. Right, I'll bring the camera in so you can see what I'm actually looking at. So all I'm watching is the gap between that pin. You can tell it wants to go across that way a little bit. So if we loosen off that jaw, tighten up that one, like that, it'll push it across and we'll do it again. Straight away you can see it's getting better. Right, I've got a clock gauge on there now so I can see how far away my guess was. 25 thou. Right, so we'll turn it to the highest point, which is there. It wants to go across that way, so if we loosen this one off, tighten that one up, right, once again highest, move the gauge a little bit, once again highest point, which is that one there. It's possible that the pulley is slightly out of round on that face there with that, I don't know, but that's the face I'm only machining, so that's the face I want to clock in. Right, highest point again, having a couple of double takes here. Right, that's highest point there. I'll bring it across just a little bit, not take much. Highest point again. Both of these two slightly, very slightly loosen. And the other two tighten. That's 10 thou, that's pretty good actually. Right, highest point again. That one wants to go across this way very slightly. Sort of, I'm not looking too bad. That one. I think we'll settle for that. Right, I've got a 1mm milling cutter in there. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's a 1mm cutter, smallest one I've got. I'm going to run the machine as fast as I can. Now I've lined up his mark, which is his TDC mark. Then it wants to go to 3 degrees, 3, 3, 12, back to 0, and the same the other way. I'm going to have to be very gentle, very careful. I've set up the vernier on this dividing head. I'll show you how that works after we've getting the first one marked. So we'll start it up and very gently we'll bring it in. I've got safety glasses on. Right, that's pretty good, that's the sort of thing I want, just a little mark like that. I'm going to zero the digger as well, so I get them all the same distance. It's 1, 2, 3 degrees. Right, that's 3 degrees. I've made that one slightly shorter. Right, this is the scale I'm working on. That's 1, 2, 3 degrees there. Lock the table off and we can cut another one. And simply another 3, and it goes on and on until we've got all the divisions cut. Right, so now we'll go back to TDC, which is that one, and then do 3, 6, 9, 12 that way. I'm quite pleased with that, it looks good. The idea is you put some white marker on here and then paint a pulley black and you'll be able to see exactly what he's doing. Right, so we need to go back to our TDC, which is that one. And pick up a 0 mark. Excellent. And then it's 3 degrees that way, 3, 6, 9, 12 until we get done. Once again, just time to say thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And don't forget, medical help is always available. Talk to your friends, speak to somebody. For God's sake, don't bottle it up. I tried it. Anyway, thanks for watching.